All staff working in correctional facilities are responsible for maintaining safe and secure settings. An important factor contributing to your success in this area will be conducting effective and consistent PAT searches. Through participating in this training, you will enhance your skills for conducting cross-gender PAT searches of inmates and residents, and you will learn considerations and guidance for conducting searches of transgender and intersex inmates and residents. Both of these training topics support safety and security while addressing important elements of the Prison Rape Elimination Act standard, limits to cross-gender viewing and searches. This video has 4 sections. Part 1, an introduction to cross-gender PAT searches. Part 2, conducting cross-gender PAT searches. Part 3, searches of transgender and intersex inmates and residents. Part 4, summary of key points. During this video, there will be opportunities for further discussion and for training specific to your facility or agency policy, procedures, and operations. Refer to the accompanying facilitator guide and to the National PREA Resource Center website for more information. Please note that it is important to follow your agency's policies and procedures if they differ from the techniques shared in this video. Discuss any questions you may have with your supervisor. As a corrections professional, you are likely already practiced in conducting searches. This video provides you with additional information that builds on your current skills. For the purpose of this video, the term inmate will be used to refer to all adult confinement populations. The term resident will be used to refer to populations in juvenile facilities. A cross-gender PAT search is a search performed by staff who is the opposite gender of the inmate or resident, and in which the staff uses the hands to search the inmate's clothing for contraband or weapons. Exigent circumstances means any set of temporary and unforeseen circumstances that require immediate action in order to combat a threat to the security or institutional order of a facility.
But a exigent circumstance might exist where you have to do a mass evacuation of a unit, whether it's a fire, natural disaster, or some other situation where you can't pick and choose which staff are going to do the search. You have to use whatever available staff you have in the quickest and most timely manner.
In order to enhance safety and security, PREA has established standards for searches of residents and inmates. Effective training and adherence to these standards can decrease the likelihood of reports of sexual abuse due to an intrusive or improperly conducted search. All cross-gender strip searches and visual body cavity searches are prohibited except in exigent circumstances or when performed by medical practitioners. Standards for cross-gender PAT searches have also been established. For juvenile facilities, cross-gender PAT searches of both female and male residents are prohibited unless there are exigent circumstances or if the search is performed by a medical professional. The PREA standards also include a phased-in ban on cross-gender PAT searches of female inmates unless there are exigent circumstances or if the search is performed by a medical professional. In addition, the adult prison and jail standards require that all cross-gender PAT searches of female inmates must be documented, and all cross-gender strip searches and body cavity searches must also be documented. In juvenile facilities, the standards require the facility to document and justify all cross-gender strip searches, visual body cavity searches, and pat-down searches. Successful implementation of these standards requires awareness and understanding of trauma, including its prevalence and its potential impact on your interactions with inmates and residents. Individual trauma is defined as psychological or physical harm that results from an event, a series of events, or set of circumstances experienced by an individual as physically or emotionally harmful or threatening, and that has lasting adverse effects on the individual's functioning and physical, social, emotional, or spiritual well-being. Research indicates that many inmates and residents have a prior history of sexual victimization and abuse. Because of their past trauma, these inmates may experience triggering events in certain environments or situations. When that happens, the inmate may display erratic or unstable behavior.
I might visually see them tense up, shake. They might not be listening to my verbal commands. They might not be standing still, and they might start becoming non-compliant.
From an operations standpoint, this action looks like resistance. The result can be a cascade of responses that may further traumatize the inmate, injure the staff or the inmate, and lead to discipline charges. Unfortunately, even an appropriately conducted PAT search may be a traumatic experience for inmates. This training video provides techniques and guidance that take into account safety and security. Although there are variations in practices used by corrections agencies across the country, the basic elements of a PAT search, including a cross-gender PAT search, are generally similar. PAT searches should be conducted in a professional manner, be consistent and thorough, include an awareness of gender of both the inmate and the staff person conducting the search, be conducted in a safe and secure environment and under a video monitoring system if available, take into account potential trauma histories of inmates, and be conducted with respectful and professional communication. In this first example, we demonstrate a female staff searching a male inmate. According to PREA, in adult prisons and jails, female staff can search both female and male inmates. Therefore, this is not an example of an exigent circumstance search. Before initiating a PAT search, put on gloves for your safety.
Conduct a PAT search in a safe environment. Make sure there's no obstacles in the way that could be used as weapons. Try and make sure that you conduct your PAT search around a security camera if at all possible.
Pay attention to the inmate's body language and verbal cues. Since many inmates have experienced sexual victimization and other trauma, cross-gender PAT searches may trigger a negative reaction to those past experiences. To reduce this risk, communicate each step of the search.
What we generally communicate to an inmate is what we're going to be searching. We give them clear and very direct communication and let them know what is going to transpire.
Do not proceed with the PAT search if you have any concerns regarding the inmate's compliance.
Before we start a PAT search on an inmate, we'll generally ask them to remove any personal items they have in their pockets and on their person, and also their footwear. And we'll have them take it off, remove it from their person, and place it off to the side, generally behind them.
Explain to the inmate how he should position himself. He should widen his stance a little past shoulder length apart, toes pointed outward and arms extended out, palms facing upward.
Point your toes outward.
He should bend slightly at the waist.
We used to use phrases like spread your legs, bend over. We don't use those phrases anymore, and that's important. We'll use widen your stance, lean slightly forward at the waist.
The quadrant method is a type of PAT search that promotes consistency by systematically using the quadrants of the body to guide the search. It begins with the upper left portion of the body.
You want to do everything systematically the same way. That way, as you cover each part of your PAT search, each quadrant of the body, you're not missing something.
Tell the inmate that the search is beginning and that you will start on the upper left side of his body. Stand at a 45-degree angle behind the inmate. This angled approach helps him see where you are located, keeping him calm during the search. It also ensures you are in a good tactical position where you can see and respond to sudden movement. Place your right hand on the inmate's middle back. Direct the inmate to lift his left hand back toward you. After inspecting the hand, begin at the inmate's wrist and work up his arm, searching both the top and bottom, finishing at the shoulder. Do not slide your hands over the inmate. Instead, use the press and release method for your search.
You want to grab the item, press it together so you can feel if there's an item between your hands, and release it. Move on to the next section. Press the clothing together between your fingers. Feel there's any contraband, release it, and proceed with the rest of your search in that manner.
Search the shoulder area, working toward the neck. Search the neck for unseen articles such as necklaces, chains, and contraband. Place your free hand up to protect from spitting. Direct the inmate to turn his head to the left
Lift
to
your head up.
expose his nasal passages and
your
instruct him to open his
Tongue up.
mouth for examination. Examine the outer and inner ear area. Move back down the neck using your thumb and fingers on opposite sides of the collar. Search the entire collar using your thumb and fingers, working from back to front. Remain standing behind the inmate to search the chest area. Use the back of your left hand and slide across the top of the inmate's chest. Do not pat or rub the chest area. Then position your hand with the fingers pointing upward and centered in the middle of the chest. Use the blade of your hand to sweep across the side and bottom of the inmate's chest towards the armpit. The search procedure for the chest area should stop at the top, side, and bottom of the chest. Once done with the chest, reposition yourself to search the back area. Pat down the inmate's back from the shoulders to the waist. Slide the back of your hand across his lower back. Carefully use your fingertips to check the surface around his waist. Next, if it is near the waist of the pants, search the inner and outer band of the inmate's underwear. Press and release the underwear waistband between your thumb and fingers. Then move to the band of the inmate's pants.
Potential safety concerns for searching an inmate's waistband can range from needles, razor blades, any dangerous or sharp instrument that the inmate would likely hide in that area.
Slide the back of the left hand, thumb tight against the index finger, over the top of the groin area below the waistband. Beginning at the waist area, search downward over the inmate's hips. Work down the outside of the inmate's left leg using press and release. Keep your head raised with your eyes focused on the inmate's upper back so you will see any movement. Check the pant cuffs and the tops of the socks. Next, hold your left hand in a blade position, thumb tucked in, and start at the inside of the bottom of the left ankle. Use the back of your hand to follow up the inseam toward the groin area. After searching the second quadrant, recheck the inmate's body position. Tell the inmate that you will now begin searching his right side before you begin. The searching procedures for quadrants 3 and 4 mirror those of quadrants 1 and 2, so that the opposite hand and foot positions are used. As you watch this search of quadrants 3 and 4, look for some of the key elements discussed.
Turn toward my voice. Lift your head up. Open your mouth. Tongue up. Tongue down. Turn back toward the wall. With your right hand, remove your shirt out from your waistband. Shake it out. Place your arm back out to the side, palm facing me. Take a half step forward toward the wall. Put the back of your hands against the wall. Lift your left foot up toward me. Put your left foot down. Lift your right foot up toward me. Place it down. Pat search is now done. You can collect your items and return to your area.
This completes the step-by-step breakdown of the quadrant search. This same process is also used in cross-gender pat searches under exigent circumstances.
Going to conduct a pat search on your left side. Do you understand?
Yes.
Exigent circumstances may require that a male staff search a female inmate. Since this type of cross-gender pat search is only permitted during exigent circumstances, it will be taking place at a time when routine has been altered. That may make inmates uncertain and uncomfortable, making effective communication vitally important. You'll need to make a case-by-case determination of what to communicate based on safety and security considerations. With the exception of the chest area, all portions of the search of female inmates should be identical to the search of male inmates.
Down. Face the wall, please. With your right hand, rake your fingers through your hair. With your right hand, unblouse your shirt at your waist. With your right hand, grab the center of your bra, pull it away from your chest, and shake it out. Extend your hand out to your side, the palm facing up, thumb facing down. I'm going to continue with the pat search, understand?
Yes.
Place the back of your hands on the wall, please. Extend your left foot back towards me. Higher. Place it back on the ground. Extend your right foot back towards me. Higher. Place it back on the ground. Stay in position until I inspect your shoes, understand?
Yes.
Okay, the pat search is complete. You can put your shoes back on and return back to your designated area.
Another example of an exigent circumstance search is a cross-gender search of a resident in a juvenile facility. In contrast to adult populations, cross-gender pat searches of both female and male juvenile residents are prohibited unless there are exigent circumstances.
I'm going to conduct a pat search at this time. Do you understand?
Yes.
Remember, when conducting cross-gender pat searches of a juvenile resident, routine has been altered as you are searching in an exigent circumstance. Pay attention to your tone and communication to help keep the resident calm during your search. The quadrant method technique is the same. However, communication should be age appropriate.
Can you please turn around and face the wall for me? Okay. Do you have anything on you at this time?
No.
Okay. Remove your shoes, place them off to the right-hand side behind the black line, please. Okay. Widen your stance with your feet shoulder width apart, toes pointed outward. Extend your arms out to the side, please, with your palms facing me, thumbs down, and then lean slightly forward at the waist. At this time, I'm going to approach your left-hand side and conduct the pat search. Do you understand?
Yes.
Turn your head toward my voice, please. Look up. Open your mouth. Stick your tongue out. Tongue up. Tongue down. Face forward, please. I'm going to continue the pat search on your right-hand side. Do you understand?
Yes.
Take your right hand, untuck your shirt from your waistband, please. Extend your arm outward with your palm facing down. Turn toward my voice. Tilt your head up. Open your mouth. Tongue out. Stick your tongue up and down. Face forward. Take a half step forward toward the wall. Keep your arms extended out. Put the back of your hands toward the wall, please. I'm going to approach your left-hand side. Bring your left foot up, please. Higher. Place it on the floor. I'm on your right-hand side. Bring your right foot up, please. Higher. On the floor, please. At this time, stay in that position. I'm going to check your shoes. Pat search is now done. You can put your shoes back on and you can return to your unit.
PREA requires that cross-gender PAT searches of all juvenile residents and cross-gender PAT searches of female inmates be documented after completion. Appropriate documentation may include why the search could not be postponed until later, why an eligible staff was not available to conduct the search, what steps were taken to attempt to get a same-gender staff to the facility, why the steps taken were not successful in getting a same-gender staff to the facility to do the search, and was any contraband found. This concludes the section of the video that covers cross-gender PAT searches. As you consider the concepts and information, see if you can answer the following review questions. When might a cross-gender PAT search be appropriate at your facility? How do you conduct respectful and professional communication during a cross-gender PAT search? What steps can you take to maintain your safety during the search process? This part of the video covers special considerations for searching transgender and intersex inmates or residents. The PREA standards define transgender as a person whose gender identity is different from the person's assigned sex at birth. Gender identity does not indicate sexual orientation. It refers to a person's internal, deeply felt sense of being male or female. Intersex is defined as a person whose sexual or reproductive anatomy or chromosomal pattern does not seem to fit typical definitions of male or female. The PAT search of transgender and intersex inmates and residents applies the same quadrant method, but the PREA standards require some special considerations.
I'm going to conduct a PAT search at this time. Do you understand? Yes. Turn around and face the wall.
The PREA standards impose a complete ban on searching or physically examining a transgender or intersex inmate for the sole purpose of determining the inmate's genital status.
Shoes off.
Triggering a traumatic response is of special concern with transgender inmates, as they have an unusually high rate of trauma prior to incarceration. Sexual abuse is also higher during incarceration. According to a federal study, in adult state and federal prisons, 34.6% of transgender inmates reported sexual victimization while incarcerated. In adult jails, 34% of transgender inmates reported sexual victimization. In juvenile facilities, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender youth are also more likely to be abused than the rest of the population.
Find your stance, please.
Taking this increased likelihood of trauma into consideration is key to professional and safe PAT searches.
And if you just took the time to slow down, calm down, and approach that individual with sensitivity and caution, you might not have a potential problem. You might just have a routine PAT search with no issues.
Turn to your left.
Another consideration is determining the gender of the staff member who can appropriately PAT search a transgender or intersex inmate or resident. This will usually be determined on a case-by-case basis. Operationally, there are 3 PREA-compliant practices for assigning staff to perform PAT searches on transgender and intersex inmates and residents. Option 1. Searches are conducted only by medical staff. Option 2. Searches are conducted by female staff only, since there is no prohibition on the PAT searches female staff can perform, except in juvenile facilities. And Option 3. Asking inmates to identify the gender of staff with whom they would feel most comfortable. This preference can be documented at intake. Note, however, that the preferred staff assignment may change over the course of the inmate or resident's confinement. Interpretive guidance from the Department of Justice states that staff should never conduct dual gender pat searches, where the staff of one gender searches the top half of the inmate and the staff of the other gender searches the bottom half of the inmate based on genitalia and breasts. This demonstration shows the search of a transgender female inmate, a person whose gender identity is female but she was assigned male at birth. In this example, the facility and inmate have established that she would like to be searched by male staff, and this is consistent with the safety and security needs of the facility.
Yes.
With your left hand, remove the hair from your right ear. Turn your head towards
This
your right.
information is in the
Open your mouth.
inmate's file, and parties have
forward.
agreed to abide by this
Tongue up.
practice when staffing allows.
Down, turn to face the wall, place your left hand back out on your left side. With your right hand, remove your shirt from your waistline. With your right hand, grab the center of your bra, pull it away from your chest, and shake it out. Place your right hand back up by your side. Going to continue to pat search on your right side. Do you understand?
Yes.
Place both your back of your hands on the wall. Lift your left leg up, back towards me. Up more. Place it on the ground. Lift your right leg up, back towards me. Up further. Place it back on the ground. Stay in that position until I inspect your shoes. Understand?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for your cooperation. The pat search is complete. You can put your shoes back on, return to your designated area.
As you review the information presented on pat searches of transgender and intersex inmates, consider the following questions. How would you be notified of which gender staff is assigned to search a transgender or intersex inmate or resident? In searches of transgender or intersex inmates, how would you ensure your communication remains professional and respectful? This video has covered techniques and important factors for conducting cross-gender pat searches, as well as considerations for pat searching transgender and intersex inmates. Agencies should be aware that there may be additional or related legal requirements relevant to inmate and resident searches, treatment of transgender or intersex inmates, and inmate privacy concerns. The federal courts are not entirely consistent regarding these requirements, and case law continues to evolve. Here are some key summary points to keep in mind. PREA standards specify that conducting cross-gender pat searches of female inmates is prohibited unless there are exigent circumstances. This ban is expected to be phased in based on the facility's population size. In juvenile facilities, cross-gender pat searches may not be performed on male or female residents unless there are exigent circumstances. PREA requires that cross-gender pat searches of all juvenile residents and cross-gender pat searches of female inmates be documented after completion. Safe and secure pat searches include thinking about where you are conducting the search and whether there is adequate safety and supervision, either by other staff or monitoring technology. Being aware of gender-specific concerns and the possible impact of trauma history. Paying attention to verbal and nonverbal cues to determine if you should halt the search and call a supervisor. When working with transgender or intersex inmates and residents, be aware of these specific considerations and standards. Determine on a case-by-case basis the appropriate gender of the staff person conducting the search. Do not use dual search techniques. And remember that PREA standards impose a complete ban on searching inmates or residents to determine genital status. The search techniques and considerations we have discussed today are provided to assist you in the performance of your duties, supervising inmate and resident populations safely and humanely. Thank you for your service.